Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're plunging into a topic that, let's be honest, for many of us, immediately gets the heart rate going, palms maybe a little sweaty,
Oh, yeah.
being put on the spot. You know, whether it's that unexpected question in a really high-stakes meeting or maybe a spontaneous Q&A after you thought you were done presenting.
Right, the any questions moment.
Exactly. Or even just, navigating small talk at some networking thing. Those moments where you have absolutely no script, it can feel like, bang, suddenly you're on stage under this blinding spotlight.
And for so many people, that spotlight comes with this awful feeling of stairway regret. I love the French term for it, l'esprit de l'escalier.
Spirit of the staircase.
Yeah, it's that
Yeah.
perfect thing, that witty comment or that really insightful point that just pops into your head like a moment too late as you're walking away, maybe literally down the stairs.
Happens all the time.
It does. And James Joyce, he called it afterwit, which is also perfect. It's like your brain finally delivers the brilliant second draft.
But only after the first one, the maybe not so great one, has already gone out there.
Exactly. It can be genuinely agonizing.
It really can. That feeling of afterwit is just so universal. And well, that's precisely why we're here today. Our mission, our goal for this deep dive is to equip you, our listener, with some tangible tools and maybe more importantly, the crucial mindset shifts you need to really think faster and talk smarter.
Right.
Especially when there's no script, no teleprompter ready to go. We've been lucky enough to dig deep into insights from this incredible conversation with Matt Abrahams. He's a professor, organizational behavior at Stanford Business School, and wrote this great book, Think Faster, Talk Smarter.
It's such a fantastic source. And yeah, our mission today is basically to give you a shortcut, a way to feel confidently articulate, even when you're completely unprepared.
No more of that afterwit sting.
Hopefully not, or at least less of it. I have to admit, I kind of represent one end of the spectrum Matt talks about. I am definitely a reluctant on-the-spot communicator.
Right.
Oh, yeah. My comfort zone is prep. Meticulous preparation, crafting the exact words. I like a controlled environment. I spent years, especially early on in Silicon Valley, pitching investors for my companies.
High stakes.
Very high stakes.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was pretty terrible at it initially, just plagued by that after what we talked about. So for me, this deep dive is really about understanding how you move from that place of discomfort, to somewhere with more ease.
That's fascinating because I think I might be on the other end. I actually kind of thrive when I'm put on the spot.
You like the pressure.
I do. There's something about the spontaneity, that immediate demand for engagement. It just makes me feel really awake, really alive. For me, honestly, the first draft often is my best draft.
Wow.
Yeah, I find it liberating not to feel that pressure for endless revisions because I know that initial unscripted burst, it's probably as good as it's going to get for me, so I can just be present.
So our experiences are quite different then.
Totally. Which I think makes it perfect for exploring how Matt Abrahams helps bridge that gap, right? How he takes someone maybe more like you, looking for that perfect prep towards embracing the power of being spontaneous.
Okay, so we've touched on this general feeling of anxiety, the frustration of afterwit. But let's define the challenge a bit more. Why does spontaneous communication feel so hard for so many people? Why do those brilliant thoughts often show up late?
Yeah, it's true. The stakes just feel incredibly high in those moments. And Matt Abrahams really makes the case, doesn't he, that mastering this isn't just like a nice skill to have. He argues it's absolutely critical for business, sure, but also for personal success.
Definitely. Think about it. How much of our day, our interactions are actually scripted? Almost none, right?
Right, very little.
From that random question in a meeting to trying to explain something complex to a colleague or even just a casual chat at a party, these are all unscripted. And our ability to connect, to get our thoughts across effectively right then and there, it directly impacts our influence, our relationships, our ability to grab opportunities.
Yeah, if you can't articulate your value or your idea on the fly, that moment, that opportunity, it can just poof, slip away.
Exactly. And a big part of the challenge, Matt points out, comes from, well, ourselves, our own inner critic.
Ah, yes, the voice in the head.
That voice. We ask ourselves, okay, what does good communication even look like right now? And the immediate instinct for most of us is perfection. We imagine that flawless response, the perfect, witty comeback.
They set the bar impossibly high.
Totally.
Yeah.
But Matt's core insight here is just so liberating. He says good communication, especially spontaneous communication, is fundamentally audience-focused.
Audience focused.
Yeah. It's not about you delivering perfectly. It's not about whether you stumble or if your grammar is flawless. It's about making sure the audience gets the information they need to be successful with whatever your goal was. Your success isn't measured by your delivery. It's measured by their understanding.
In service of the audience, I really like that reframe. It shifts the focus completely. Off you, onto them.
Exactly.
You know, I've often thought my superpower, if you can call it that, in communication is that I genuinely don't have those perfectionist tendencies. What comes out, comes out. And usually it's fine. It's not about aiming low, like swinging for mediocrity.
Right. It's not about being bad.
No. It's more about recognizing that whatever emerges right then is probably good enough for the purpose, and letting go of that impossible ideal of perfection. It's incredibly freeing.
It absolutely is, because the trap we fall into is exactly that striving for perfection. Matt explains how this just burdens cognitive bandwidth.
Right, the computer analogy. Too many apps open.
Precisely. Your phone, your computer just grinding to a halt because too many things are running. When you're constantly speaking and judging and evaluating everything you say in real time, was that the right word? Is my grammar okay? Do I sound smart? You're basically overloading your brain.
You can't do both well.
You can't. You can't perform at your best because all your mental energy is tied up in self-monitoring, in judgment, instead of just communicating. This is why Matt says, if you aim for perfection, you'll actually perform worse. That perfection trap kills your cognitive bandwidth. It's like trying to run a marathon while doing complex math. Your brain just locks up.
That makes me think of something from improv. We often say to each other before going on stage, everything you do is exactly right.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it kind of pushes on the same idea as maybe swinging for mediocrity, which again isn't about being bad. It's about allowing yourself to start imperfectly. It frees you up to begin trusting that whatever comes out is what's needed.
Yes, that's it, exactly. For some people, maybe the way in is thinking swing for mediocrity. Just relax. No, the first try doesn't have to be perfect. For others, it's that improv idea. Assume it'll go great, let go of the outcome, just start. It's really about embracing the process, not just the final product. And this brings us right back to Matt's main point, his core takeaway. And I think we should repeat it because it's so fundamental to everything else. It's the mindset shift. It's about connection, not perfection.
Connection, not perfection. Simple, but powerful.
If you can really internalize that, truly believe your main goal is to connect with your audience and give them what they need, it changes the whole game. It lets you be present, engage, instead of being stuck judging yourself. Am I doing this right? Is this good enough? Was that the perfect word?
Okay, so we get why it's hard, and we get what good actually looks like: audience-focused connection over perfection. But now, okay, why bother? Why put in the effort to master this? What are the real payoffs? Why is getting better at this truly worthwhile for you, the listener?
Well, there are lots of benefits, but probably the biggest one, according to Matt, is you gain this profound ability to actually connect and effectively transact information with people.
Transact information, interesting phrase.
Yeah, it means others can genuinely benefit from your experience, your wisdom, the advice you have. Think about all those times you have a great idea or some crucial knowledge or a creative solution, but it just stays locked up because you can't quite articulate it clearly right then.
Right, the moment passes.
Exactly. Mastering this skill unlocks that potential. It lets your unique contributions flow freely and tangibly. This means you'll save hours in pointless meetings, your pitches might actually land funding, you'll build stronger relationships faster, and you'll grab those opportunities that currently slip by because you can articulate your ideas clearly, concisely, right when it counts. And it goes beyond just individual impact. Matt talks about the wider effects on organizational health and efficiency. Part of his consulting work is going into companies and helping them build what he calls a communication infrastructure.
Okay, communication infrastructure. That sounds big. What does he mean? Is it just tech, like Slack and email?
No, not just tech, although tools matter, of course. It's fundamentally about the people and the processes that invite, create, sustain, and support effective communication. How information actually flows or doesn't flow within the organization.
So how does he figure out where the problems are? What does that infrastructure look like day to day beyond just, say, meetings? What are those bottlenecks he looks for?
Well, his approach is actually brilliantly simple. He starts by just listening. He lets people talk about where communication is working well individually, in teams, departments, and then, crucially, where they think it's not working.
Okay.
He's listening for those bottlenecks, those telltale signs that point to deeper issues. He gave an example recently, an organization complaining about meeting creep.
Meeting creep, like just more and more
Yeah,
meetings.
exactly. An increasing number of meetings, and more people being invited to those meetings, often without a clear reason or purpose.
Uh-oh. I think we all know that feeling.
Right. As soon as he hears meeting creep, he thinks, okay, there's a systemic problem here. Because, as he explains it, meetings are so often used as band-aids for much larger structural and communication issues.
Ah, okay. So the meetings aren't the root problem.
Exactly. Imagine, like, a product team needs a quick decision on some feature. If the normal way is this long email chain that gets ignored, or if people are just afraid to make a call on the fly, or maybe they just don't have the skill to clearly ask for a decision in a quick, spontaneous chat, what do?
Schedule a meeting.
Right. Then maybe another one. And they get bigger because everyone feels they need to be informed, but nobody's really empowered to just share info efficiently in those smaller, unscripted moments. So the meeting becomes this substitute for effective, spontaneous communication that should have happened way earlier, much more efficiently. It just cascades into inefficiency.
That makes perfect sense. It's a symptom of something deeper missing.
Precisely. And the mantra he offers, which I think really captured the payoff here, is this. Everybody says it takes so much time to communicate well, and I say it takes a lot longer to clean the mess up when you don't.
Oof. Yeah.
Think about that. Not communicating well, he points out, can take years to fix.
Yeah.
It creates confusion, mistakes, wasted effort, lack of clarity. It can cripple a team or even a whole company. Imagine projects going off the rails because specs were vague, or losing a client because a concern wasn't handled well in a quick call. Mastering spontaneous communication isn't just about sounding smart. It's about making everything, your organization, your team, your relationships, way more effective, efficient, and resilient. Building clarity.
Okay, this is great. So let's unpack how we actually do this. Matt Abrahams has distilled this into a pretty concise 6-step process, right? And he splits it neatly into 2 chunks: mindset and messaging. Let's tackle the mindset shifts first, because as we've been saying, so much of this battle happens right up here, in our heads.
Absolutely. Mindset first. Step 1 is all about managing anxiety. Now, anxiety, as we kind of hinted at, is such a loaded term these days. It often gets treated like a disease, something negative we have to just get rid of.
Yeah, something to be fought.
Right. But Matt and others, like Tracy Dennis Tywery, she wrote this brilliant book, Future Tense, they offer a totally different view. Tywery calls anxiety the in-it-to-win-it emotion.
In it to win it. I love that. That really shifts the energy, doesn't it? It's not fighting it, it's like channeling it.
Exactly. It reframes it completely from an enemy to potentially powerful fuel. Matt emphasizes that anxiety is just inherent to being human. It's actually an evolutionary advantage. It's a signal that says, okay, the stakes are high here, let's go, let's get moving.
So see it as energy, not fear.
Precisely. Shift from fighting it to seeing it as a signal, a surge of energy you can actually harness to perform better. And maybe the first step for someone feeling overwhelmed by it is just acknowledging it without judgment. Instead of, oh no, I'm anxious, this is bad. Maybe try, okay, I'm feeling this energy because this moment matters. Body's telling me it's go time.
Yeah.
Just observing it, not getting swept away.
Okay, observe, don't fight. Got it. Which leads right into the second mindset step, which we touched on, but maybe we can go deeper. Connection, not perfection.
Yes, reinforcing this one. We talked about how aiming for perfection kills your cognitive bandwidth. This step is about actively choosing to let go of that burden.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Oh, for sure. But when you're focused on perfection, you are stuck in your head, judging yourself, editing yourself constantly. You can't truly connect with the people you're talking to. The goal instead is to be fully present, connect authentically, allow that natural back and forth instead of getting bogged down in self-critique, accepting that, yeah, imperfections happen. They're part of being human, and sometimes they even make you more relatable.
Okay, connection first, then the third mindset shift.
Third is embracing the circumstances. So often when we're put on the spot, our first reaction is defensive, right? We feel threatened, like we're being tested or attacked. Matt even says if he just mentions a Q&A is coming, people get nervous.
Guilty.
Yeah. But he argues we need to flip that script. These aren't threats. These spontaneous moments, the Q&A, the unexpected question, the cold call, the networking chat, they're actually opportunities. Opportunities for collaboration, for connection, for learning more. If you can consciously reframe them that way, see them as chances to engage, understand, share your view, rather than traps, it makes it so much easier to step into them confidently. It's like opening your arms instead of bracing for impact.
Okay, see it as an opportunity, not a threat. And the last mindset piece.
The fourth and final mindset step is listening well. And this isn't just, waiting politely for your turn to talk while planning your brilliant response.
Uh-oh, also guilty sometimes.
We all are. But this is about active listening, really paying attention to the nuance of what's going on in the moment so you can respond in a way that's actually appropriate and effective. In a spontaneous chat, listening deeply helps you get the real question, or the concern behind the question, or the context that wasn't explicitly stated. If you're just rehearsing in your head, you can't truly connect, you can't deliver what they actually need. It's fundamental. A great answer to the wrong question is still wrong.
Absolutely. Now, what I find really interesting is where this whole framework came from. Matt didn't just cook this up in theory, right? He developed it because of a real problem at Stanford Business School.
That's right. The deans actually came to him because their students, incredibly smart, capable people, were freezing or choking during cold calls in class.
Even though they knew the material.
Exactly. They knew the answers, had the analytical skills, but put them on the spot. They couldn't get the words out. So this framework isn't just academic. It came directly from trying to solve a very real, very high-stakes communication block that even brilliant people face. It shows that just knowing isn't enough if anxiety or lack of structure gets in the way.
Okay, so mindset handled. Now, the second half of Matt Abraham's framework, mastering the message. What's the fifth step?
The fifth step is all about frameworks and structure. Matt is a huge believer in these. He says structure is just critical to our communication.
Which makes total sense. When you're speaking off the cuff, it's so easy to just wander, ramble, especially under pressure. A framework gives you, like, guardrails.
Exactly. He uses the analogy of a roadmap, makes it hard to get lost. If you have a clear, logical way to organize your thoughts, even as they're popping into your head, you're much more likely to deliver something coherent, something impactful. He often uses the problem-solution-benefit structure as an example.
Right, problem, solution, benefit. Simple.
Simple, but so effective. When I was doing those pitches back on Sandhill Road, I struggled hugely at first. I'd maybe start with the solution, then backtrack to the problem, maybe forget the benefit. It was a mess.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But I definitely got better by consciously using structure, rigorously thinking, okay, first state the problem clearly, then present our solution, and finally, explain the benefit, what's in it for them. It keeps you on track and makes sure the message lands. And it's not just that one. Matt encourages having a kind of mental toolkit of simple structures, like what now what?
Okay, explain that one.
So if someone asks you to reflect on something, you can state what happened or what the data says. Then explain, so what's the significance, the key insight, and finally, now, what are the implications or what should we do next?
Okay, I can see that being useful.
Or for those dreaded behavioral interview questions, the STAR method. Situation, task, action, result. You lay out the specific situation, the task you faced, the actions you took, and the positive result. These aren't scripts you memorize. They're like mental scaffolds. They help you organize your thoughts into a story, quickly and persuasively.
Right, they become almost like muscle memory. You just plug the spontaneous thoughts into that template.
Okay, and the sixth and final step, Matt calls it the F word of communication.
Yes, focus. This hits that common issue, especially when people are speaking spontaneously, rambling.
Ah, the clock builder.
Exactly. His mother apparently had this great saying, maybe she didn't invent it, but it's perfect. Tell me the time, don't build me the clock. And he says so many of us, when we're put on the spot, become clock builders.
We feel we need to give all the background, right? All the context, all the history, all the caveats, when often the audience just needs the time. They just need the answer, the main point. It's about getting straight to it, being concise, disciplined, prioritizing what's most important for them, not just dumping everything you know.
That resonates so much. You know, you talk about focus, not building the clock. It reminds me exactly of how we were graded on class participation back at HBS. It was literally quality per unit time spoken.
Wow, really? That explicit.
Oh, yeah. And in a place where 50% of your grade is participation and 10% of every class fails, it creates this intense pressure cooker.
Yeah.
Very high stakes. It definitely pushes people towards anxiety, which makes it a pretty good lab for what Matt's discussing. So does that kind of extreme pressure environment sort of mirror what he's talking about, and how does that impact focus?
That HBS system sounds like it perfectly simulates the kind of intense, spontaneous demands Matt's framework addresses. And you're right, that pressure can absolutely make people either freeze up or do the opposite, over-explain out of sheer anxiety. They become clock builders to prove they know everything.
Trying to justify their airtime.
Exactly. The key, though, is what Matt means by focus isn't superficiality. It's intelligent conciseness. Discern what is absolutely essential for this audience to get your core message. Then, only if needed, add more detail.
Tailoring the clock building.
Precisely. If you're briefing an exec who just needs the bottom line, you give them the time. If you're explaining the same thing to a new team member who has to implement it, yeah, you might build a bit more of the clock, maybe an analogy, a quick step-by-step. The balance comes from that relentless audience focus. What do they need? How much context is truly necessary for them to succeed with your goal?
Yeah.
It's about managing their cognitive load efficiently, not just yours. These frameworks, this focus, they're intensely practical for those real-world pressure moments.
Okay, now let's lean into what I suspect is the deepest, maybe the most universal fear around all of this. Blanking out, your mind just goes, gone, empty, the words vanish.
The abyss.
Yeah, and this feels like a moment for vulnerability. So I'm going to invite you, after we hear Matt's story, because his is, well, it's pretty legendary to share your own origin story of blanking out, if you're willing. Because Matt's story is just such a powerful example of resilience.
I will. It's definitely a core memory for me. But yes, Matt's story really sets the scene for understanding how deeply these moments can affect us. It starts when he was just 14. Freshman year, first day of English class. And because his last name is Abraham...
Alphabetical order strikes again.
Always. First one called on. Assignment was simple. Stand up, say what you did over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
He was really into martial arts still, so he prepped this 10-minute speech about it.
Ambitious for 14.
Totally. And the stakes felt huge. It was 7:30 a.m., Saturday morning, still dark out, big room. Parents of his friends are there, judging. His friends are there.
Mm-hmm.
And, crucially, the girl he liked was there.
Oh, no, maximum pressure.
Maximum pressure. Plus, he's wearing clothes that are too tight growth spurt over the summer. Dad had to tie his tie. You know the picture. Awkward teen intensity.
Yeah.
And in his nervousness, he forgot to put on his special karate pants, the ones with extra room.
Oh, I see where this is going.
He starts his speech with a dramatic karate kick and rips his pants. From zipper to belt buckle, 10 seconds in.
Oh my God, no, I am physically cringing hearing that. As a parent of kids that age, that is the nightmare scenario, the absolute horror.
He says right then, in that moment, he became profoundly fascinated by anxiety's impact on communication. It all traces back to that cold Saturday morning. But here's the extraordinary part, the bit he's actually most proud of, though it took him years to see it.
What did he do? Run off stage crying? I might have.
He stayed. He finished the entire 10-minute speech, pants ripped wide open. Instead of letting it crush him, that moment sparked this lifelong curiosity about anxiety, about spontaneous speaking. Turning that trauma into his life's work, it's incredible.
That is truly incredible. What resilience. Especially at 14. Okay, well, you warmed me up. My own visceral blanking out moment. I was 16, on stage, singing Gilbert and Sullivan.
Okay, high pressure too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Made it through the first stanza. I'm feeling pretty good. And then, just nothing. Absolute white noise in my head. The words for the next stanza, gone. Completely, terrifyingly gone. I can still feel it now. The hot lights, the sea of faces, the silence in my own brain. I heard the director at the piano kind of vamp, thinking I couldn't hit the note, which wasn't it at all. I knew the music. I was just stuck. Words evaporated.
So what did you do?
Instinctively, I just sang the first line of the stanza again, and then again, and again, just repeating it over and over until finally, thank God, the words for the next stanza just sort of clicked back in. Felt like an eternity.
But that's amazing because that's actually exactly one of the things Matt recommends. You did instinctively what he advises.
Really? Retracing my steps.
Yes. Blanking out is the #1 fear people tell him about. And he offers this great 4-part strategy, like a safety net, a toolkit for when your mind goes blank.
Okay, let's hear it. We all need this safety net.
Okay, first he says, structure is key. Remember the frameworks. Structure is critical. It's your roadmap. Hard to get lost if you have a map, if you blank out, but you know you just covered the problem. And that solution comes next in your problem-solution benefit structure. That framework helps get you back on track.
Right, gives you a place to aim for.
Exactly. You might not recall the exact phrase, but knowing the type of info needed next jogs your memory. My guess is you got better at those pitches by leaning into structure, right? Not just hoping the words would appear.
Oh, absolutely. Once I consciously adopted that problem-solution benefit structure, it was night and day. Even if I fumbled a bit, I knew where I was going next. Huge difference.
Okay, second tactic. If the structure doesn't immediately bring it back, repeat yourself. Exactly what you did at 16. Like losing your keys, you retrace your steps. Repeating the last thing you said coherently often gives your brain that crucial second or two to catch up and remember what's next.
And it probably just sounds like emphasis to the audience.
Usually, yes. It buys you time without looking lost. Like repeating the last benefit you mentioned can often lead you right into the next one. Third, and this ties right back to the core mindset, audience focus. Matt says a big reason people blank out is feeling unworthy, like they aren't the right person to speak. That imposter syndrome creeping in.
Yeah, that feeling of who am I to be saying this?
Exactly. And that best antidote. Remind yourself you are in service of the audience. It's not about you, your performance, your worth. It's about them. What can you give them? Shifting from self-worth to contribution makes a huge difference. It often prevents blanking in the first place because you're less tied up in self-judgment. And finally, the fourth one. The ultimate emergency brake if all else fails.
Right.
Distract your audience just long enough for you to regroup.
Distract them. How? Like juggle.
No. Ask them a question. He tells his students, if you ever hear him say in class, let's pause for a moment and think about how what we've just discussed applies to your life. The students just think, oh yeah, good question. How does this apply? They don't think, uh-oh, Matt blanked out. While they're pondering, he's collecting his thoughts. Everyone can have a back pocket question ready, something general like, think about how this might impact your team's next steps. It sounds purposeful, buys you time, nobody knows.
Okay, I have to jump in here because I can personally powerfully vouch for this strategy. It works, even under extreme pressure. I recently gave my first big in-person talk since before the pandemic. 3 years of only Zoom.
Wow, big adjustment back.
Huge. Giant theater, thousands of people. They set the countdown clock for the standard 45-minute keynote. I give the talk, felt great connecting. And then I looked at the clock. 25 minutes remaining.
Oh my God, 25. I think my heart just stopped for you.
Oh.
That is the actual nightmare.
It really was total panic. I hadn't factored in zero audience interaction, no Q&A, no polls, no chat, no breaks like on Zoom. I needed Matt's safety net instantly. My brain was screaming, 25 minutes, what can I possibly say? I'm done.
So what did you do? Did you use the question tactic?
Sure. I absolutely did. I had to generate 25 minutes of what looked like purposeful filler. So I did exactly what Matt described. I started asking broad, reflective questions. Consider for a moment how these ideas might reshape your approach to X. Think about one small change you could implement this week based on our discussion. I had no idea what they were thinking, but they were thinking, and crucially, that bought me time. Time to breathe, collect my thoughts, mentally scan my notes for points I could elaborate on, examples I could add. I stretched the remaining content organically, so if anyone doubts if that works, even for more than half a keynote in front of thousands, trust me, it works. It absolutely works.
That is a phenomenal real-world testament.
Wow. And the beautiful paradox here, as Matt points out, is that just knowing you have these recovery strategies, having that safety net, it actually makes you less likely to blank out to begin with.
Because the fear decreases.
Exactly. The confidence that you can recover if needed empowers you, and the fear often just melts away, letting you perform more freely. Okay, so Matt, my next thought is really a kind of public service announcement for you, our listener, because this feels like the big, maybe counterintuitive piece of Matt's wisdom. Preparation is actually critical for good spontaneous speaking.
It sounds like a paradox, doesn't it? Prep for spontaneity.
Totally. But it's the secret sauce.
It's absolutely true. And it's not about scripting word for word. As Matt says, that actually hurts you in spontaneous moments, burdens the bandwidth, sounds robotic. Instead, it's about stockpiling information.
Stockpiling, like building an inventory.
Exactly. Building a rich mental inventory, a deep well of knowledge, context, stories, examples that you can draw from in the moment. He highlights 3 key areas to focus this strategic preparation.
Okay, what are they?
First, and maybe the most critical, your audience. Really think deeply about them. What do they need? What do they already know? Where might they resist? What are their attitudes? Who are they? What problems are they dealing with? Understanding your audience lets you tailor what you say spontaneously to their needs, not just your agenda.
So empathy drives the preparation.
Deep audience empathy, yes. It guides your choices in the moment. Speaking to techies, use the jargon. Talking to leadership, focus on strategy, impact. Second, prepare your overarching goal. Be crystal clear on what you want them to know, feel, and do.
No, feel, do. Okay.
That 3-part goal, information, emotion, action, is super helpful. If you know exactly what info they need, know how you want them to feel about it, inspired, concerned, confident, whatever, and what specific action you want them to take, do. That clarity guides everything you say spontaneously, keeps it focused, purposeful, like in a pitch. Know the features, feel excited, do sign up for a demo.
Right, or a team meeting. Know the status, feel accountable, do follow up.
Precisely. And third, have your key ideas ready. These are your core messages, the essentials you want to land. Not memorize sentences, but concepts, compelling examples, powerful stories, key data points, things you can pull into a structure when needed.
Like organizing your mental pantry?
That's a great analogy. You don't have every meal pre-cooked, but all the ingredients are there, organized, easy to grab. By having this well-stocked mental reservoir, these pre-chewed insights, you're not inventing on the spot. You're assembling components you already understand well.
So how do you do that stockpiling? Just read a lot.
Reading helps, but it's more active. Keep a knowledge base or journal. Mind map complex topics. Make notes of great stories or stats you hear. Consciously stock that mental pantry so the ingredients are ready when you need them. So while the delivery is spontaneous, it's not unprepared. It's a different kind of prep, building flexibility and confidence.
Okay, so if Matt doesn't want panicked calls the day before a talk.
Definitely not. Call me anytime, he says, except the day before.
Right. He must be a big believer that the real work happens way in advance.
Absolutely. The moments right before you speak.
Yeah.
That is not the time to suddenly try and figure out anxiety management. That's why he has his students create what he calls an anxiety management plan,
Yeah.
an AMP.
AMP, I like that.
Yeah, he got the name from our mutual friend Allison Wood Brooks, whose research showed reframing anxiety as excitement or incitement actually helps performance, thinking of it as amping you up.
Getting amped, not anxious.
Right. But again, this AMP, this plan, the work needs to be done in advance. You can't cram for emotional regulation right before you walk on stage. So for those looking for those immediate, like right before you speak rituals, things that are part of your pre-planned AMP, Matt suggests 3 practices.
Okay, what can we do in those final moments?
First, deep breathing. And not just shallow chest breathing, which is what we often do when stressed. Proper diaphragmatic breathing down in the lower abdomen, like in yoga or meditation. And crucially, the exhale needs to be about twice as long as the inhale.
Why double the exhale?
Because it's the long exhale that really activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the body's relaxation response. It physically calms you down, signals safety to your brain. Second, have some kind of positive affirmation or mantra ready, a tool to fight back against that negative self-talk that loves to flood in right before you speak.
Why me? I'm not ready. I should have. Yeah.
All that stuff. Instead, you consciously replace it with a simple positive phrase. Matt's own mantra is, I have value to bring. He says it to himself right before he speaks.
Yeah.
Every time, even before this deep dive, probably.
I have value to bring. Simple, powerful.
It shifts focus immediately from self-doubt to audience service, reminds him of his purpose. And the neuroscience supports this. Affirmations can help interrupt those negative loops, build confidence. And I found my own version helps me a lot. There's someone in the audience who really needs to hear what I have to say, and I have no idea who that is.
Oh, that's beautiful. That forces you outward.
Yeah, it gets me out of my own head, makes me engage with everyone inclusively, creates this sense of shared purpose.
I'm definitely borrowing that one. Okay, breath, mantra. What's the third ritual?
Third is simply get present-oriented. The goal is to be there for your audience, fully present, not stuck in your head worrying about outcomes. If you're mentally replaying mistakes or fretting about hitting the time limit or whatever fear loop is running, you're not connected. You're not available to the moment or the audience. These 3 rituals, deep breathing, mantra, getting present, practiced in advance as part of your AMP, build that foundation to manage the jitters and truly show up.
So there you have it, our deep dive into mastering spontaneous communication. And honestly, the big thing I take away from all of Matt Abraham's work is just hope. Our communication challenges, they're fixable. It's not some inherent flaw. These are skills. We can learn them, refine them. It's all fixable.
It really is. And when you think about Matt's definition, communication is fundamentally in service of the audience. And you connect that to how we often talk about leadership on this show, making others better.
Yeah.
Well, it becomes so clear. There's really no leadership without communication. It is the currency. It's how you influence thoughts, beliefs, actions. It's absolutely foundational to having any kind of impact.
Couldn't agree more. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you, our listener, with one final, maybe provocative thought to chew on. If you really want to see mastery of spontaneous communication in action, look beyond business talks. Look at other performance arts, specifically stand-up comedy, and even more specifically, crowd work.
Oh, interesting. When they interact directly with the audience.
Exactly. Think about how those comedians are just completely wired in, totally present. They're not just listening, they're actively reframing things that could be seen as threats, like a heckler or an unexpected comment, and turning them into GIF.
Opportunities for comedy.
Yes, opportunities to connect, to pivot, to create something hilarious right there on the fly. It's an amazing display of all these principles, mindset, deep listening, using frameworks like setup punchline, staying focused, managing anxiety, all pushed to the extreme.
That's a great place to look. Any specific examples?
Well, I'd encourage you to check out comedians like Wanda Sykes, just so sharp, riffs on anything. Or Sarah Silverman, who blends vulnerability with these immediate, often shocking comedic reactions. Or Kathleen Madigan, her style is so conversational it feels like you're just chatting, but she's completely in control, totally spontaneous. Watch how they handle the unscripted, respond to the unexpected, build that instant connection. Notice the pauses, the listening, the way they structure even off the cuff remarks, how they stay present. It can be incredibly insightful.
Great suggestion.
So, for the coming week, we want to leave you with this question. What really stands out to you from this deep dive? And maybe more importantly, how might you apply just one or two of these insights to your own spontaneous communication moments? How can you start turning those flashes of panic into opportunities for real connection and impact?